Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kristin, and if you're new here, this is a corner of the internet where I come at you every other week or so and share what I've been making. We do a lot of knitting, we do a lot of crochet, we do a lot of quilting. If you are multi-craftual and you like to dabble in all the crafty rabbit holes, you are in a good place. Gather around, grab a cup of something, and let's get into it. Just a little heads up, I believe this is going to be the very last episode of 2023. After this week, I'm just taking some time off to enjoy the holiday and come back bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and refreshed with more episodes for you in the new year. And I just want to say thank you so much. If you've been following me, whether you're new here or you've been following me since I started doing this channel, thank you so much for being here and following my crazy shenanigans and diving down all the rabbit holes with me. It really does mean the world. And yeah, especially if you are a member of this channel. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so again, I'm going to be taking a break from publishing these videos to the main channel, but if you are a member, I will be sprinkling in some bonus content for you over the break. So, if you miss me or you want some more content from me over that time, consider becoming a member. People who subscribe to the A Cup of Something tier or higher get access to my bonus vlogs that I publish. I call them mini waffles, just because they're very casual vlogs, little peeks into what I get up to in between filming these episodes, just life-wise, craft-wise, and all that jazz. But that said, I just want to give a huge thank you for just being here and supporting me and, enjoying what I do and what I make. And for the final episode of 2023, I thought that I would do a roundup of all the crochet and knitting projects that I've completed in 2023. I did finish quite a few quilts in 2023, but in the spirit of keeping this episode to a reasonable length, I'm only going to stick to the fiber arts. Maybe if I have some time next week, I might squeeze out a bonus episode sharing all the quilts that I finished. But again, just to keep this episode at a decent length, I'm only going to stick to knitting and crochet today. So without further ado, let's kick off with the elephant in the room, shall we? This is the Kismet sweater or pullover by Rachel Illsley, and as you can see, it's a beautiful colorwork sweater. It's let me see. Yeah, it's got raglan shaping along the shoulders, and beautiful colorwork happening all throughout the yoke. I knit this out of my own hand-dyed yarn, Voolenvine yarns, using 4 different colorways. For the main colorway, this one is my Grim colorway, which is a dark shaded black, if you will, and then sprinkled throughout, I used Poe, Laudanum, this kind of, I guess you could call it like an amber, dark, golden, brownish, yellow, mustard, if you will. I would call it a golden brown. And then I used Weep, which is kind of like a lighter shade of Grim. It's kind of like a cool slate gray. And then I think that's it, yeah. And I have to say, this pretty much just flew off my needles. Probably one of the fastest sweaters I've ever knit, just because the yoke held my interest so much. And I'm often asked, people who are new to knitting colorwork, how complicated is this? And I have to say, the colorwork is super simple. If you're new to knitting colorwork, I think this is, probably an adventurous beginner could handle this, but I would say it's easy because you're only ever knitting with 2 colorways at a time per row. The raglan shaping, though, if you are new to sweater knitting, again, adventurous beginner. There's a lot of interesting construction happening here. There's a lot of short row shaping in the back just to kind of, raise the neckline and give it that extra shape. Again, you can totally omit that, but overall, just, I would say beginner to intermediate. If this is, your first sweater rodeo, maybe stick to something a little more easy. I made a video a while back sharing some easy, beginner-friendly sweater knitting patterns. So, if you are new to sweater knitting, do check that video out. There are a lot of great suggestions in there, as well as in the comments below, because, while I had my own suggestions, people who watched the video chimed in with their own suggestions. So again, lots to be had in that video. But yeah, such a great, wonderful pattern. I definitely want to knit more of Rachel's patterns. She does really, really beautiful color work and just a really clever construction. So yeah, I'll stand up so you can see. The only, again, like when it comes to knitting sleeves, I usually deviate. I usually omit the sleeve shaping if there is any shaping to be had. In my experience, this might have to do with my gauge or whatever, but in my experience, whenever I follow a pattern and do sleeve decreases to shape the sleeves, I end up with sausage casing around my arms. So 9 out of 10, whenever I knit a sweater, I usually omit those decreases and just, you know, pick up the stitches around the arm, knit straight, and then do a rapid decrease before knitting the cuff. So yeah, so when it came to this one, I basically just did 2 rounds of decreases until I had the number required for the cuff and knit the cuff, if that makes any sense. In hindsight, I'm not going to rip it out just because it's done and I'm kind of ready to move on, but in hindsight, if I were to knit this sweater again, I probably would have not even done a rapid decrease and would have just continued knitting until, you know, I was happy with the sleeve length, and then did a short little rib to end things and just keep it like a wide, just like a cozy wide wrist, if you will. So yeah, anyway, but yeah, it does this thing, which I'm completely cool with. Anyway, so that is the Kismet sweater by Rachel Illsley. Again, just a really wonderful colorwork pattern that I highly recommend. Next up, you're probably wondering what Margot the mannequin is wearing, and it's been a while since she's made an appearance on this show. Last week I had her downstairs in the sunroom because I was taking photos of another FO, but she's back, and she is wearing my Easy V Pullover by Caitlin Hunter. And I cast on this pattern in 2022. And I let it languish for a while, but I did finally complete it in 2023. So I want to say in April. Yes, I completed it in April of 2023. And to be honest, I really haven't been getting much wear out of it. Not as much wear as I have been getting out of this sweater. And I don't really know why that is. Maybe it's the colors. This part, the yoke is a little too loud for me. But I really did enjoy working with the yarn. For the main color, the main color of the body, I knit using Knitting for Olive in their worsted merino, and I believe the Dusty Rose colorway. And yeah, just a really, really wonderful workhorse yarn. It felt, you know, it's not incredibly soft, but it is still next to skin. And again, it just feels like a really nice workhorse yarn, solid, versatile, you know? And it was my first time working with Knitting for Olive yarn, so definitely would work with that yarn again. For the color work, I clearly used spin cycle yarns, which is what the pattern called for. And I'm trying to think, I used 3 different colorways. I think the first one was called Deep Bump, Hold Steady, and Salty Dog, I believe. I don't know. The names escape me, but I'm going to link to all of my Ravelry project pages for all the patterns and projects that I mentioned in this episode, in case you want to scope out what kind of yarn and needles I used. All of that will be in the description box down below. And I actually would recommend this for a beginner sweater / colorwork knitter, just because you are working with a bigger, thicker yarn. Colorwork is a little more fiddly when you're working with skinnier yarn, but with big yarns you can see what's happening and where, you know, the mechanics of it all. And again, you're only ever working with 2 strands of yarn per row. Although I think there is just one row every 8 rows or so, where you are working with 3 at a time. I could be mistaken, but again, nothing that's crazy or unmanageable. And I really do love the neckline of the sweater, the construction. Again, like I am here for clever sweater constructions, because when you learn to knit a sweater, you're learning the basics. You're learning, you know, just a basic simple yoke, simple raglan increases, and once you get the gist of those, the basics, it's cool to like see what else you can do with stitches to create shaping along the neckline for a better fit. Yeah, it's really clever. So, and this one is no exception, because to create the V neckline, Caitlin basically uses increases, the types of increases you would use on a triangular shawl to create that shape, which I thought was really, really genius. And I love how it just kind of creates this kind of off the shoulder flash dancey look. I'm here for it. So just a really big, oversized, cozy pullover that I really do need to get more use out of, because yeah, winter is just nearly here. It is indeed sweater weather here in Port Chester, New York. So yes, that is my Easy V by Caitlin Hunter. Love Caitlin Hunter patterns. Next up is a quickie pattern that I whipped up for myself just because I really did need a black hat. I was just, something to go with everything. And this is a pattern by Petiteknit. And what was this called again? She has many different versions of one particular pattern. And this was the Oslo Hat, again by Petiteknit, but the mohair version. And I went with this pattern because while I didn't include mohair, it did call for sport weight yarn, and that's what I had. And this yarn is by Lehrer. It's her Cashmereno Sport. So, again, the pattern called for sport weight yarn. I believe Petiteknit used a strand of fingering and a strand of mohair, hence, the mohair version. But yeah, I chose to omit the mohair and just wanted a simple plain black hat. And I'll try it on for you. But yeah, this gets so much wear. Yeah, I love it. I love it just because, yeah. It's great. It's great. What do you say? And I have to say that I do get a lot of compliments on this hat, and people, just because it does look store-bought. A lot of people say it looks like I bought it from a store, and yeah, it's, again, just a very simple black slouchy hat, which I am all about the slouch, and cannot resist a pom-pom. This is just a very simple black pom-pom that I picked up from my local yarn shop / fabric store, the Nimble Thimble. Again, another pattern with super clever construction. It's been a while since I've knit this, and I am blanking on how it actually came around, but I think you knit the brim first, fold it over, and join where your live stitches to the cast on edge to create like this double layer. And then you knit a couple of rows in reverse stockinette, and then you switch back to regular stockinette. Again, really, really interesting construction. And it just creates this lovely, versatile hat. And I did purchase yarn from Pick Up Every Stitch last year to knit a caramel camel colored version, which I have not gotten around to yet, but I'm hoping to at some point. I still have the yarn, but again, this hat just gets so much love from me. Yeah, so that is the Oslo Hat by Petiteknit. Since we're on the topic of Petiteknit, this is her No Frills Pullover that I knit this year. And again, this is another project that I knit out of my own hand-dyed yarns, Voolenvine yarns, in 2 different bases. So this is knit holding together my Nouveau base, which is a single-ply superwash merino, and my Ghost lace, which is a mohair silk lace weight blend, in my Gashly Crumb colorway, which is a colorway inspired by Edward Gorey, one of my favorite illustrators. He's if you're not familiar with Edward Gorey, he's known for his kind of like creepy, macabre, dark illustrations. They're really funny. I'll pop a link to where you can check out his work down below. But yeah, he inspired a couple of my colorways, and this is no exception. And this sweater does get a lot of wear for me. I just love how, even though it's like speckled and everything, it's kind of, it's neutral enough where it just goes with everything. I just chuck it over, some jeans and call it a day. And it's super cozy, guys, especially the mohair. My gosh, yeah, I love it. So it does have a little bit of a crop to it. Here's what it looks like on the back. And yeah, up close, look at those speckles. Yeah, so. And as far as difficulty, I would say yeah, this is definitely a great pattern for beginner sweater knitters, or if you're thinking about knitting your first sweater, this is definitely on my list of patterns I would recommend. So yes, that is the No Frills. It is a very popular pattern. I feel, again, it's like one of those patterns that everyone and their monkey's uncle have knit. And yeah, I mean, I really do like petite knitters patterns. I mean, they're very, very basic, very simple. A lot of them are very plain with, you know, sometimes she does have some patterns with a little bit of detail or texture, but for the most part, I really do love the simplicity and minimalist aesthetic to her patterns. I feel like, you know, it really does allow like the yarn that you're using to shine, especially like if you're using some really nice luxury yarn or silk, mohair. I just find her patterns are really great for helping to showcase those types of yarns. Yes, that is the No Frills Pullover by Petiteknit. And those are the only petite knit patterns that I have knit in 2023. I would love to knit her Sophie shawl. That, you know, not the shawlette, I want to knit the big version. So that is on my list. I just love the idea. Again, another very simple, basic pattern, but I love the idea of just having like this big, long, cozy scarf to just wrap around my neck, using really, really nice treat yourself type of yarn, you know? Moving along, I'm just gonna keep wearing this hat just because it's so cozy and I like the way it looks with my sweater. So moving along, if you've been following this channel for, you know, the past couple of months, you know that I did fall down the rabbit hole of crocheting doilies. Yeah, and I have to blame Nora from the Noraling YouTube channel. She got me hooked, no pun intended, on crocheting doilies. And I don't have it with me because it's downstairs on my dining room table right now, but she crocheted the is it the Tidesdale? Let me see, I have my notes. I have notes this week, guys. The Tidesage doily by Julia Hart. And I'll pop a photo of it here. But this was kind of a gateway drug into crocheting doilies. I mean, full granny mode. Yeah, they're so fun, and so it's one of those projects where it looks super intricate, and it can be, but you just tune out the whole world and focus on what your hook is doing, what your hands are doing, and before you know it, in like 2 to 3 days time, you have this beautiful, beautiful heirloom. Let's face it, these are heirlooms, guys. It's been living on my dining room table, you know, just as a centerpiece with some pumpkins on it. I'll pop a photo here. But yeah, it just kind of got me on this doily kick, so much so that I cast on another doily while on summer vacation, and I decided to turn it into a pillow. So here is another doily that I cast on and finished. This is the Summer Splendor by, sorry guys, names escape me all the time, so I'm glad that I came prepared with notes today. The Summer Splendor by Denise Augustine Owens, and here she is, yeah. So both doilies, I'm using Aunt Lydia's size 10 crochet thread that I picked up from Makeal's. And yeah, I've been knitting a lot with big box store yarns lately. I actually have a couple of projects on the needles that I'm not going to talk about this week, just because, yeah, again, time. But I'm currently knitting with some yarn that I purchased from Makeal's and Joanne, and yeah, it's just great. But anyway, yeah, they have really good crochet thread there, and I knit this one in particular using their Wasabi colorway, which is very, very lime green, very much out of my comfort zone. But you know, kind of like a little homage to Kate of the Last Homely House, just to have a little slice of the lime green sofa on my sofa, I decided to make a lime green pillow. Yeah, so I backed this with some natural linen, just to kind of tone down the brightness, because I find, you know, when I'm working with a really fun, bright neon color, I like to mix in some neutrals just to tone things down so it's not too loud. And then I added these fun little pom-poms to it, and then on the back, one of you lovely viewers suggested that I use some Liberty fabric, so that's what I did. On the back, we've got some Liberty backing. Yeah. I mean, it's a little, you know, I stuffed this myself, so it's a little wonky, and I kind of have to occasionally reshape it, but I love it. I love this pillow so much. It makes me happy whenever I see it, and yeah, Anyway, so yeah, 2 doilies, and I definitely want to make another one at some point. So yeah, doilies are definitely the rabbit hole to fall down. Another pattern that I do not have with me because admittedly, I do not know where it is. I don't know where I put it. That's kind of embarrassing. And I'm worried that I'm getting old because where did I put it? It's around here somewhere. I'll find it. But my Tineola shawl by Ambah O'Brien, it practically flew off the needles because it was super addicting, and also it's a very small shawl. It's, you know, I still had about half a skein left, but still a very, very beautiful pattern. I knit this using, again, my hand-dyed yarns. I really need to broaden my horizons, guys, but here we are. But I used it knitting Voolenvine yarns on my Gosling base, which is a new yarn base that I introduced to the shop this year. It's, again, a really lovely, luxurious blend of superwash merino, baby alpaca, and silk, and it just has the nicest drape. So perfect for this project. And this was the very first pattern by Ambah O'Brien that I've ever knit. And I can't believe it. I just cannot believe I've waited this long to knit one of her patterns because I love them. They're, again, like another designer that has very clever designs, very clever constructions. She really does know how to take, you know, just a beautiful motif that looks complicated and make it shine. So the rest of the pattern will be super simple, very like, you know, a walk in the park, piece of cake, but have just a couple of rows where you just have to focus and create this beautiful, beautiful motif. I cast on another one of her shawls, the Fruit Tingles shawl. I am so close to being done with that pattern, guys. It's embarrassing that I have not finished it. So close. But I will finish it soon, I promise. But yeah, just similar aesthetic, very, you know, same idea. You just have a very simple triangular shawl with this beautiful motif striped throughout. And I, you know, yeah, I want it off the needles. So yeah, that is the Tineola by Ambah O'Brien. Highly recommend her patterns. And cannot wait to knit more. This year, I also kind of sort of got back into spinning. Long story short, I made some hand spun and knit something out of it. So I recently showed this off on the channel, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself too soon, but this is the Age of Brass and Steam. And of course, I'm blanking on the designer. And I know I messed it up last time. I said Orange Peel Designs. No, I believe it's Orange Flower Patterns. Orange Flower Patterns or Orange Flower Designs. I'll pop it all in the down bar, but this pattern has been around for quite some time, over 10 years, I think. And it's just such a simple, I can see why it's so popular. It's just a very simple go-to, easy peasy pattern, especially for hand spun. It really, you know, it's simple enough where it really helps the hand spun to shine. And I spun this out of Woolly Witch's Rolags, and she has a really, really beautiful Etsy shop full of beautiful Rolags that you can, you know, spin up. And I had about maybe 4 ounces. So just, you know, 4 ounces is usually enough to knit a shawl. And I kind of lost some of that weight while spinning because sometimes, you know, not all the fiber gets in it, either because it, you know, felts or poofs off or, you know, whatever. So just, you know, just under 4 ounces of yarn. DK weight, I believe. Anyway, it was enough, just enough to knit this shawl. And I actually did have to go in and modify the pattern. Just because I was running out of yarn, I didn't have enough to knit the garter border, and instead, and I'm so glad that I did this, but I ended up making a picot bind off, and I really, really do love it. It just adds a really nice kind of feminine touch to it, and yeah, so anyway, I did write notes on my Ravelry project page as to how I did the picot bind off, but just a really wonderful chill pattern. I think that is my word of 2023. I use that word quite a lot this year, and you know, I'm all about the chill, and I want to take chill into 2024. It's a nice feeling, guys. So anyway, yeah, just a really chill, very fun, very simple pattern that really, really allows hand spun to shine. And again, there's something to be said about knitting with your own hand spun. It's just so satisfying. And yeah, I really need to sit back down at my wheel. I do have fiber on there currently, and I have to finish spinning it. So anyway, goals for 2024. Do more spinning. So yeah, Age of Brass and Steam by Orange Flower Patterns. think. Okay, last but not least, this is not really a grand finale. I probably should have saved something else for the grand finale, but we're gonna end on something simple. A simple pair of socks. It's been quite some time since I've knit and finished a pair of, any kind of pair of socks. And I finally came back to socks because, again, I was having friends over and I was at various points in different projects where I couldn't just sit and knit and go on autopilot and have a conversation at the same time. All the projects that I was working on had, I was at a point in knitting them where I just had to focus. So I just cast on a pair of socks using, once again, you're probably so tired of hearing it, Voolenvine yarns on my footsie base in the Strangers with Candy colorway. And this is my new Halloween colorway that I came out with. So we've got 2 socks here, and yeah, love them. They're just so fun. So my footsie base, in case you're curious, is a really nice blend of 80% superwash, blue face luster, and 20% nylon. So really nice, sturdy, workhorse sock yarn. They're socks, guys. They keep my feet warm, and I actually have not worn them yet. They were waiting for this episode. And in case you're wondering, because I always get asked about my sock blockers, these are Bryson, and I purchased them, I believe, from Jimmy Beans. I almost said Jimmy Dean's wool, but that's not Jimmy Bean's wool. I will link to them down below where you can find them. And I do have another pair of wooden sock blockers that I also purchased from there. They're wood and they have like a little sheep cutout. Again, purchased them from Jimmy Bean's wool, and links down below. And sock blockers, they are completely optional. I just think that they look good on camera. It helps me showcase finished socks for you guys. And the only other reason I could think about, why you would want sock blockers is if you're gifting a pair of socks. Like if you're gifting them and you just want them to look nice and flat, sock blockers, make them, stretch them out, flatten them out, and just make them a little more presentable. But if you're just knitting socks for yourself, or even if you are giving them as a gift, you can just lie them flat and call it a day. But, to each their own. You do you. So, yay! I guess I kind of sort of do have a grand finale project to share with you. Granted, it is not finished. It is partially finished. And the plan is to finish it in 2024 for, by the way, our epic Makealong, which is currently underway. And just as a friendly reminder, or if you're just tuning in and want to hop on board, our epic Makealong is a year-long Makealong that is happening now through January 1st, 2025. So you have a whole year to join in, and whatever your craft is, you are more than welcome to join. If you're into knitting, crochet, weaving, spinning, quilting, garment sewing, bobbin weaving, anything crafty that you would like to make, that has been on your bucket list, that you've been dreaming about making, that you have been wanting to finish. A lot of people have been thinking about tackling a Marie Wallin pullover. Some people have been thinking about tackling the Jane Stickle quilt. Yours truly was thinking about it, and then she got cold feet. So we're pivoting, and that's completely fine. It could be something as small as a cross stitch. It could be if you've never knit a pair of socks before. In your mind, if it is something epic, if it's a big deal, if it's something that, you're gonna be proud of yourself for finishing by the end of it, you are more than welcome to join. And to do that, you can, obviously engage with people in the comments down below. But the way that we're going to connect with each other and see what we're making is by using hashtag Voolenvine Epic MAL. So use that hashtag when sharing your projects over on Instagram, on social, mainly on Instagram, and Ravelry. So, if you are partaking in this Makealong, just tag all your works in progress and your FOs and your ideas and your inspirations with this tag so we can all see and comment and, you know, cheer each other on, ask questions. And the other way, if you would like to engage further, again, consider becoming a member, because no matter which tier that you join, you will get an invite to our private Facebook group where you can chat with us, you can chat with me, share links, and, you know, just have a really fun time. And you will also be entered to win a giveaway come the end of the make along. So if you would like to become a member, just click the join button down below this video or on the main page of this channel. And as I say every week, for a monthly fancy schmancy cup of coffee, you can gain access to bonus features on this channel. So yay! But yes, speaking of our epic maul, I am going to finally finish my fruit garden blanket, and here we are. So the reason why it's kind of finished is because it is the center of the blanket is done, and all that's left to do is the border, which is also epic in its own right. So here's the finished center, and I will come close so you can see it, but holy cow, guys, this is a labor of love. This pattern is a free pattern by Jane Crowfoot. I really cannot understand how she made this a free pattern because it is so beautiful and so involved. I really appreciate, again, I say this every time, but like I really appreciate how she has video tutorials to go along with each section, because still relatively new to crochet, I need a little hand holding, and that's what those videos do for me. I was able to procure a kit from this shop in the UK called woolwarehouse.uk. Oh, here are the little bits that I've started for the border. So yeah, gotta make 8 of these. 8 of these. They're gonna be giant rectangles. We'll talk about it later. But again, the yarn that I'm using, did I dip into all of these? Do any of them still have ball bands on? Okay, here we go. So yeah, the yarn is by Stylecraft. It's their bamboo cotton naturals, and yeah, here it is. This is one of the colors, but this is the yarn that I'm using. It's almost, I would liken it, it says it's DK weight, but I would liken it to fingering. But it's 60% bamboo and 40% cotton, very, very soft. And yeah, this blanket is gonna be a magnum opus, I think. So anyway, yeah, so that is a half FO, a half O. Yeah, I think I'm going to end things there. So if you've made it this far, if you found my channel this year and you've liked and subscribed, thank you so much again for hanging out with me, for being here, for commenting down in the comments below. It's, you know, it's a lot of fun, guys, and you're the reason I do this, and I cannot wait to see what 2024 brings for this channel. I want to take it places, guys. I really do want to do some more fun stuff with this channel. Again, I kind of need the break to kind of let it percolate and marinate and see what comes up, but I've got a lot of fun stuff planned, so watch this space. And until the next video, happy holidays, whatever it is you celebrate or don't celebrate, and I will see you in the next video in 2024. Bye.